Hey there, friends and enemies, Tropy here again, and now that we have spoilers for a lot of the Spider-Man Magic the Gathering set, I want to go over which cards I'm most looking forward to picking up. Now, I value cards based on fun factor, thematic fit in my decks, and also art, so maybe not necessarily the strongest cards that I'm looking at today, but some of them will be very, very powerful. Also, I'm really looking forward to the set in general. I know the community as a whole may not be as excited as I am, but my son's favorite superhero is Spider-Man, so he's really excited to play with this set and build decks with some of these characters. And then also, this will be my first MagicCon, and I will be able to check out the set at pre-release essentially for MagicCon, so because of that I may be a little bit biased, but I am somebody who does enjoy the Universes Beyond sets as well, so I'm not going to hold that against Marvel Spider-Man or any other set going forward. So anyway, jumping into it, I do love the alternate art borderless cards here. They do look very nice, especially this Spider-Man 2099. That's a card that I'll definitely be talking about more about in a little bit, because I do think it's one that is incredibly interesting. The showcase cards as well, I feel like these comic panel cards are awesome, and I absolutely need those regardless of how good they actually are. I feel like they are fantastic. Once again, Spider-Man 2099 carrying the set, and then this original Spider-Man art, the Peter Parker from the OG Spider-Man comic, is actually insane, and then obviously the turn here is awesome as well. So if you didn't know, one of the things I'm really excited about with this set is the way you're able to cast some of these characters like Peter Parker and Miles Morales. You can cast them at their base front side and then transform them for the transform cost, so you can cast them early, get them on the field, and then transform them, especially if they are a commander. But then you can also flip them and just cast them for their cost on the other side. Here you can see down here at the bottom, there's the alternate cast card as well, so you can essentially just cast it for that other amount without having to flip it at all if you just want to wait and cast it at that point. So I do feel like that's a interesting mechanic with the set that I do really like. But anyway, here are some more extended art cards. This Iron Spider, it looks like it's straight out of the MCU. It's absolutely sick. Anyway, going over the cards that I am actually most excited about. One, we have Anti-Venom. Obviously, this is one that I think a lot of people have talked about, but I do feel like it's very, very interesting. So when it enters, if it was cast, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. If damage would be dealt to Anti-Venom, prevent that damage and put that many +1/+1 counters on them. Now, this is a card that I don't feel like would fit as a commander necessarily, and that's the hard part with it, is it does cost 5 white mana, and so if you're playing a multicolored deck, it might be hard to bring this card out. If you're playing an all-white deck, however, this is one that I do feel like could be a interesting option, and I do feel like the ability to bring a card back from the graveyard is very, very nice, but also the damage dealt. Now, you can exile this creature, you can eliminate it through other means, so it's not like indestructible or anything like that. However, it is one that I feel like, especially the art on it, it looks absolutely sick. The extended art is also very nice as well, so I feel like that's one that I definitely will be searching for if at all possible. Then we move on to some of the other options. I do feel like Spider Bite here is an interesting card. I do like the art as well. When it enters, return up to 1 target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Just an uncommon here, 2/2, nothing too crazy. Maybe not powerful enough to really put in a lot of decks, but I do feel like it is worth checking out as an uncommon if you so choose. But now we are going to get to some of the ones that I'm really looking forward to, even if they again aren't the strongest. Now, the black cards I think are some of the best. We've got Scorpion, we've got Spider-Man Noir, who I think is pretty good, and Tombstone. But for me, it's Venom that I'm really looking forward to adding. 4/5 with Death Touch, which is very nice, and then you can, for 2 colorless and a black mana, you can exile this card from your graveyard, put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature. It gains Death Touch until end of turn. So essentially a free Death Touch. The only downside is you only can activate it as a sorcery. Since it's not instant speed, that kind of can derail things. But if you have, for example, a commander that you've built up that you can add Death Touch to, it could be a nice option there. I just feel like for a common, which is actually insane for Venom, the art is very good, and this is a card I will definitely be looking to check out going forward. I do like all of that as well. And again, kind of surprised they put Venom in there as a common, although I do think there will be other Venoms in this set going forward as well. Here's where the most interesting card to me is between Spider-Gwen here, although I do think Ghost Spider is better, obviously, and then we've got Spider-Punk. Spider-Punk, I think, could be absolutely insane. 2/1 for colorless and a red. It's got Riot. The creature enters with your choice of +1/+1 counter or haste. That could be very nice. Other spiders you control have Riot, so you can essentially build a spider deck with this, and it could be insane. And a lot of the creatures in this set have spider in their name, so I think that's very, very nice. Spells and abilities can't be countered, and damage can't be prevented. Now, this is where this card gets very, very interesting, because if you're running a mono red deck, for example, and you don't have a lot of counter spells, this is one where, because it works for both you and your opponents, that could be a very nice option, because then you can get through a lot of your heavy damage blast spells that could do a lot to your enemies, but would be at risk of being countered pretty consistently. Damage can't be prevented as well. That's, again, one that it works both ways, so you have to be really, really careful, but I do feel like you could build around that pretty easily and have this card be absolutely insane in certain decks with certain combinations. So that's why it's going to go up pretty high there. We got Stegron the Dinosaur Man, Shocker, a lot of really cool, interesting cards. Masked Meower as well, I think, is one that looks really cool, but I don't know necessarily if it's going to be one a lot of people are going to be chasing after. But here's where we get pretty interesting. I do feel like some of the green cards are pretty solid as well. We got Guy in the Chair, which is hilarious. Kapow as well. But for me, I think we got Spider-Man Peter Porker is also a very nice one. Spider-Rex Daring Dino. I do think the Brooklyn Visionary for 5 mana is kind of crazy. It's a 4/3, but it does have web slinging, and a lot of these cards in the set benefit from web slinging options. And when Spider-Man enters, search your library for a basic land, put it on the battlefield tapped. Now, again, with it costing 5 mana already, it could be that's not really worthwhile to have an extra land at that point. It's almost starting to get to overkill. However, with web slinging, so you can cast this spell for 2 colorless and a green, if you also return a tap creature you control to its owner's hand, that's where this gets more interesting, because it does act more as a ramp card at that point for only the 3 mana, especially if you have a card with an ETB effect that you would want to cast again. And so that's where I think this is one that is very interesting. Again, for a common, this art is tremendous in my opinion as well. I do like that quite a bit. Now is where we get to the cards that I'm most looking forward to. We got Green Goblin Revenant with Flying and Death Touch. I think when he attacks, discard a card, then draw a card for each card you've discarded this turn. You could really use that as a commander, potentially, but Spider-Man 2099 is one of the cards that I am going to definitely be including in a lot of decks. So from the future, you can't cast Spider-Man 2099 first, second, or third turns of the game. So keep that in mind. It's not a card, even though it only costs 2 mana, that you can cast early on. It does have Double Strike and Vigilance. It's a 2/3. At the beginning of your end step, if you played a land or cast a spell this turn from anywhere other than your hand, Spider-Man 2099 deals damage equal to its power to any target. This is where it could be very, very interesting, because with blue and red, there's a lot of ways to cast spells from either your graveyard, from exile, all of that, and I think this could be a tremendous add in a lot of decks because of that. You can essentially pop this boy out, and then be dealing extra ping damage very consistently. Plus, with double strike and vigilance, you can use it as an attacker. Maybe you can find a way to give it flying, for example, and do a lot of damage for a low amount of cost for Spider-Man 2099, especially when you have black and red with a lot of decks that do like to have abilities that allow you to cast multiple spells in a single turn. So he would be one that even on the fourth turn you could cast him as a first or second card spell that turn and really benefit from some options there. So I do think he is one to keep an eye out and might be my favorite card in the entire set. I'm also this is a bit of bias, I'm going to acknowledge that, but Penny Parker, this is one that I play her a lot in Marvel Rivals, and so because of that, I'm really looking forward to this. 4/4 with Vigilance that costs 3 colorless, a white and a blue. When it enters, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Whenever a modified creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So very nice to have for equipment decks, auras, counter decks, all of that kind of good stuff. White and blue, you can really take advantage of that as well. Maybe not necessarily cheap enough to be a commander necessarily, but would be good in a lot of those decks that do benefit from modified creatures. And card draw is always a very nice option on some of these cards that you're adding to your deck, especially if you want to run a blue deck that has a lot of spells and a lot of counters and all that kind of good stuff. So we've got Symbiote Spider-Man is pretty good down here as well. This is the best artifact as well, I think. Iron Spider Stark Upgrade, 2/3 with Vigilance for 3 colorless. Tap it to a +1/+1 counter on each artifact, creature, and or vehicle you control. This is not a one that I think will be a commander. Like I said, it's colorless, so unless you're running a full colorless deck, maybe not necessarily the best there, but you can definitely include it in a lot of artifact decks that do have a ton of artifact creatures, or vehicle decks. Now you can make vehicles commanders as well. You tap 2 to remove 2 +1/+1 counters from among artifacts you control to draw a card. And so again, it gives you the benefit of both of that. And for 3 mana for a 2/3, I think it's pretty solid overall. Definitely one that I would highly recommend chasing. We have Mechanical Mobster, Spider-Bite. Multiversal Passage, I think, is fine for land, but after all the insane lands we're getting with Edge of Eternities, I am not surprised we're not getting a lot of wild lands with the Spider-Man set as well. It kind of would have been overkill at that point. Some of these look pretty cool. I do feel like these web arts are solid. Again, a little bit spoiled with the Edge of Eternity art, but I find these are better, honestly. I do like these base lands with the essentially the New York City background as well. Some locations from the Spider-Man universe with also him flying around in these various locations or hanging on to the building there as well. So that's going to do it for me for this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I didn't talk about Doc Ock. I think he's going to be potentially the best commander in this set, but he's so expensive that that may have been be a bit of a problem. However, there's so many villains in this deck that I do think or in the set that I do think that could shake up to be very, very nice as like a full-blown villain deck, which I think could be a lot of fun. Thematically could be awesome as well. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Comment down below. My name is Jopa. Have a good one, and I'll catch you all later.